Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 7, Text 8. Evam Varshayuta Sahasra Paryantavasita Karma.
Evam Varshayuta Sahasra Paryantavasitta
karma nirvana saraha.
Nirvanavasarodhi bhujyamanam swatanebhyo riktam pitr.
Nirvana avasaro adhibhujyamanam swatanyebhyam riktham pitro.
Paitamaham yathadayam vibhajya swayam sakala sampan.
Petamaham yathadayam
Yatadayam
vibhajya
Vibhajya
swayam sakal sampatah.
Niketat swaniketat pulahashramam pravavraja.
Niketat swaniketat pulah ashramam pravavrajah.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Destiny fixed the time for Maharaj Bharat's enjoyment of material opulence at 1,000 times 10,000 years. When that period was finished, he retired from family life and divided the wealth he had received from his forefathers among his sons. He left his paternal home, the reservoir of all opulence, and started for Pulashram, which is situated in Hardwar. The Shalagram Shilas are obtainable there. According to the law of Dayabhag, when one inherits an estate, he must hand it over to the next generation. Bharat Maharaj did this properly. First, he enjoyed his paternal property for 1,000 times 10,000 years. Which is 1,000 times 10,000? 10,000 times 1,000. That's like 10
1
million,
crore.
no?
Yeah, 10 million, 1 crore, yes.
Yeah, that's 10 million. Oh, he lived such a long time, huh? 10 million. Okay. At the time of his retirement, he divided this property among his sons and left for Pulaha Ashram. Yatra vava Bhagavan Harir Adyapi Tatratyanam Nijajananam.
Yatra vav bhagwan
Bhagavan Hari
api
Adyapi
tatra jnanam nij jananam
Vatsalyena Sanidhapyata Icharupena.
vatsalyena sanidhapyate
Sanidapyata Icharupena.
At Pula Ashram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, out of his transcendental affection for his devotee, becomes visible to his devotee, satisfying his devotee's desires. The Lord always exists in different transcendental forms, as stated in Brahma Samhita 539. Ramadi Murtishu Kalaniyamena Tishtan Nanavataram Akarot Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Sambhavat Paramapumanyo Govindam Adi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami. The Lord is situated as Himself, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and He is accompanied by His expansions like Lord Rama, Baladev, Sankarshan, Narayan, Mahavishnu, and so forth. The devotees worship all these forms according to their liking, and the Lord, out of His affection, presents Himself as Archa Vigraha. He sometimes presents Himself personally before the devotee out of reciprocation or affection. So here we are saying that the Lord Krishna, is the original personality of Godhead. And all the incarnations are there in him. Lord Rama, Baladev, Sankarshan, Narayan, because he's the source of all incarnations. So they all are in him. And of course, some devotees have special relationship with Lord Ramachandra. Some devotees have special relationship with Sankarshan or Narayan, and the Lord, they worship the Archa Vigraha as they have kind of a some kind of a natural love, a natural attraction towards a particular form of God. And God also reciprocates to them in that form. So it's a loving relationship. Lord Nishingadev with Prahlad Maharaj, A devotee is always fully surrendered to the loving service of the Lord, and the Lord is visible to the devotee according to the devotee's desire. He may be present in the form of Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, Lord Nishimadev, and so on. Such is the exchange of love between the Lord and his devotees. So, how the devotee wants to see the Lord takes on that form so that he can have this loving exchange with the devotee. Like when Bhishma Dev was in the battle of Kurukshetra, Bhishma Dev was in Virya Ras with Krishna, and he was shooting the arrows at Krishna, and for Krishna he was feeling, my devotee, he's like showering flowers at me. It's the relationship between devotee and Krishna reciprocates. It's not that Bhishma Dev out of envy wants to try to hurt Krishna. No, it's a loving sentiment, this Virya Ras. So the devotee and the Lord. Yatra padani ubhayato na bhibhir drashak chakres chakranadi.
यत्र आश्रम पदानि उभयतः नाभि चक्रे चक्र नदी
Nama sarit pravara sarvata pavitrikaroti.
नामा सदी प्रवरात् सर्वतः पवित्रीकरोति.
In Pula Ashram is the Gandaki river, which is the best of all rivers. The Shalagram Shila, the marble pebbles, purify all those places. On each and every marble pebble, up and down, circles like navels are visible. Shalagram Shila refers to pebbles that appear like stones with circles marked up and down. These are available in the river known as Gandaki Nadi. Wherever the waters of this river flow, the place becomes immediately sanctified. Shalagram Shila is the Lord Vishnu himself. Tasmin vava kila sa ekala pula ashramo pavane vividha kusuma.
तस्मिन् भाव किल स्व एकल भव उपवने विविध कुसुम.
Salaya tulasi kam bhubihi kandamula pala palopaharesh cha.
किसलय तुलसिका अम्भोहि कंद मूल फल उपहारे च.
Samihamano bhagavata aradhanam vivikta uparata vishayabhilasha.
समीहमान भगवतः आराधनं विविक्त उप्रतः विषय अभिलाषः.
Upabhritopashamaha param nivritim avapa.
उभ्रत उपशमः परां निवृत्तिम् अवाप.
In the gardens of Pula Ashram, Maharaj Bharat lived alone and collected a variety of flowers, twigs, and tulsi leaves. He also collected the water of the Gandaki river as well as various roots, fruits, and bulbs. With these, he offered food to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva, and worshipping him, he remained satisfied. In this way, his heart was completely uncontaminated, and he did not have the least desire for material enjoyment. All material desires vanished. In this steady position, he felt full satisfaction and was situated in devotional service. Everyone is searching after peace of mind. This is obtainable only when one is completely freed from the desire for material sense gratification and is engaged in this devotional service of the Lord. In the morning, today morning, we were reading that by engaging in devotional service, it completely satisfies the self, because we are doing so many different things and we think that those things will satisfy us. But it is actually when we engage in devotional service, we see that it is devotional service that actually satisfies the heart, complete satisfaction of the heart. We were reading Savapam Samparo Dharmo Yato Bhaktir Adhokshaje Ahaituki Apratihata Yayatma Suprasidati. This is Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 6. The supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So this is what Prabhupada is saying, that we will feel complete satisfaction only when we engage in devotional service. We were talking that Prabhupada was putting in the purport that we are thinking we are the body and the mind. So we are doing things for the body and the mind, but the self, we still feel something lacking because we are the soul, we are not the body and the mind. So we need to feed the soul and not only polish the cage. When only the cage is being polished, but the bird is not being fed, then that beats the purpose. So similarly, we are the soul, and the need of the soul is devotional service. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. Worship of the Lord is not at all expensive. One can offer the Lord a leaf, a flower, a little fruit, and some water. The Supreme Lord accepts these offerings when they are offered with love and devotion. In this way, one can become freed from material desires. So, what is the important point in making any offering to the Lord?
It should be done with love.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. Done with love. So, in this way, one can become freed from material desires. As long as one maintains material desires, he cannot be happy. As soon as one engages in the devotional service of the Lord, his mind is purified of all material desires. Then one becomes fully satisfied. You see, we are thinking we are the body, we are the mind. So we are trying to get enjoyment for the body and the mind, but we are forgetting that we are the soul. And so when we engage in this relationship with God, engage in devotional service, then we feel satisfaction. Yeah, Prabhupada is quoting this. Savapam samparo dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati vasudeve bhagavate bhakti yoga prayojitaha janati ashu vairagyam jnanam cha yat ahaitukam. The supreme occupation dharma for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to completely satisfy the self. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 6 to 7. So, supreme occupation, dharma. It is a dharma to engage in devotional service. And that's when we will be completely satisfied. And when we engage in devotional service, what we get? Causeless knowledge. One immediately acquires causeless knowledge. And because one gets this knowledge, one automatically gets detached from the world. Because then we get knowledge of our true identity. These are the instructions given in Srimad Bhagavatam, the supreme Vedic literature. One may not be able to go to Pulaha ashram, but wherever one is, one can happily render devotional service to the Lord by adopting the processes mentioned above. So that's why Lord Chaitanya said, be wherever you are, you engage in devotional service. Hear, chant, worship the deity, serve the devotees. These are the five most important processes of devotional service given by Srila Rupa Goswami. To associate, serve the devotees, hear Bhagavatam, chant the holy name, worship the deity, and live in Mathura. So, living in Mathura, well, we can't physically, may not be possible for most of us to live physically in Mathura, but we can mentally live in Mathura in meditation. Tayetam avirata purusha paricharyaya bhagavati pravardhamana.
तया इत्थम् अविरतः पुरुष परिचर्यया भगवती प्रवर्धामान्
Nuraga bharadruta hridaya shaithilya praharsha vegenatmani.
अनुराग भर द्रुत हृदय शैथिल्या प्रहर्ष वेगेन आत्मनि
Abhidyamana roma pulaka kulaka kanthya pravrita pranaya.
विद्यमान रोम पुलक कुलक औथ्य कंठस्य प्रवृतः
बाष्प निरुद्धावलोकनयन एवं निज रमना रुना.
वापस्य निरुद्ध अवलोकनयन एवं निज रमणा अरुणा चरणा
चरणारविन्दानुध्यान परिचिता भक्ति योगेन परिप्लुता.
चरणारविंद अनुध्यान परिचित भक्ति योगेन परिप्युक्त
परमाह्लाद गंभीर हृदय हृदावगाद दिशनस्ताम अपि.
परिपल्युप्य परम आघात परीक्षित भक्ति योगेन परिप्लुत परम आहाद गंभीर अपि
क्रियम क्रियमाणं भगवत् सपर्यां न सस्मार.
यम क्रियमाणाम भगवत संप्रयामन संसारः
That most exalted devotee Maharaj Bharat in this way engaged constantly in the devotional service of the Lord. Naturally, his love for Vasudev Krishna increased more and melted his heart. Consequently, he gradually lost all attachment for regulative duties. The hairs of his body stood on end, and all the ecstatic bodily symptoms were manifest. Tears flowed from his eyes, so much so that he could not see anything. Thus he constantly meditated on the reddish lotus feet of the Lord. At that time, his heart, which was like a lake, was filled with water of ecstatic love. When his mind was immersed in that lake, he even forgot the regulative service of the Lord. When one is actually advanced in ecstatic love for Krishna, 8 transcendental blissful symptoms are manifest in the body. Those are the symptoms of perfection arising from loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since Maharaj Bharat was constantly engaged in devotional service, all the symptoms of ecstatic love were manifest in his body. So he's already feeling this loving symptoms, this ecstatic symptoms. Itam drita bhagavat vrita aineya china.
इत्थं धृतभगवतः वृत एणया अजिनः
Vasasanusavanaabhishekar drakapesha jata kalapena cha.
वासास अनुसवन अभिषेक अद्र कपीश कुटिल जटा कलापेन च
Virochamana suryarcha bhagavantam hiranmayam purusham.
विरोचमान सूर्यचार भगवन्तं हिरण्यमयं पुरुषम्
Ujjihani surya mandale bhyupatishtham etadhu uhovacha.
उज्जिहाने सूर्यमण्डले अभ्युपतिष्ठान् एतत् ऊह उवाच
Maharaj Bharat appeared very beautiful. He had a wealth of curly hair on his head, which was wet from bathing 3 times daily. He dressed in a deerskin. He worshipped Lord Narayan, whose body was composed of golden effulgence and who resided within the sun. Maharaj Bharat worshipped Lord Narayan by chanting the hymns given in the Rig Veda, and he recited the following verse as the sun rose. The predominating deity within the sun is Hiranmaya, Lord Narayan. He is worshipped by the Gayatri mantra Om Bhurbhuva Swa Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. He is also worshipped by other hymns mentioned in the Rig Veda, for instance, Dhyeya Sada Savitur Mandala Madhyavarti. Within the sun, Lord Narayan is situated and he has a golden hue. So, because there are many Gayatri mantras, so this Gayatri mantra, Om Bhurbhuva Swa, is for worshipping Lord Narayan, who is called Hiranmaya. He has a goldenish body, golden hue, because he's living in the sun, I guess. And he's worshipped from the Rig Veda, chanting the hymns in the Rig Veda. Any questions, comments?
No.
Paro raja savitur vedo
परो रजसवि
Parorajasvitu
तुजात वेदो
devasya bhargo manasedam jajat.
देवस्य
Devasya
भर्गो
Bhargo
मनसेदं
Manasedam
जजान
Jajana
Sureta sada punaravisya chaste
सुरेत
Suretas
सामद पुनः आविश्य चेष्टे
Punaravishyajas
hamsam gridhranam nishat ringiram imaha.
हम
Hamsam
संगृदाणं
Gridranam
निराम इमः
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in pure goodness. He illuminates the entire universe and bestows all benedictions upon his devotees. The Lord has created this universe from his own spiritual potency. According to his desire, the Lord entered this universe as the Supersoul, and by virtue of his different potencies, he is maintaining all living entities desiring material enjoyment. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who is the giver of intelligence. So this is the prayer that Bharat Maharaj was offering to the Lord. The predominating deity of the sun is another expansion of Narayan, who is illuminating the entire universe. The Lord enters the heart of all living entities as the Supersoul, and he gives them the intelligence and fulfills their material desires. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya Chaham Pridhi Sanivishta. I am sitting in everyone's heart. Bhagavad Gita 15.15. So Krishna, in his expansion as Paramatma, is sitting in our hearts. And what are the few things that he does? The two of them is mentioned here.
He gives them intelligence and fulfills their material desires.
Yeah, I know, right? We think, oh, I'm so intelligent, isn't it? But it's Krishna, the Paramatma, who's giving us intelligence. And then we are thinking we are so expert. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I can do this, I can do that. But the Paramatma is making the arrangement to fulfill our desires.
So the yogis who worship the super soul, right?
Yes.
So then
Yes.
so what they want is what? To fulfill their desires? Is that the reason they they worship the unpersonal this thing, creature of Krishna,
The yogis, they
yogis?
worship the super soul, the Paramatma.
Yeah. So is it for this intention for getting intelligence and to fulfill their desires? Not
Well,
no, right?
it could be, but it's also because they want to understand the absolute truth. So, like we were reading today morning, that absolute truth is realized in three features: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. So the yogis, they are meditating on the Paramatma and they're realizing the Paramatma. But what happens sometimes when the yogi sees the Paramatma, then they can mistake themselves to be the Paramatma. They can make that mistake and think that they are the Paramatma themselves without understanding that there is a difference between the Atma and the Paramatma. So then it would depend on their desire again, But yeah, the goal of yoga is to understand the Paramatma, to see the Paramatma in the heart. Is that okay? But intelligence, Krishna is giving all of us intelligence, not only to the yogi, to everyone. And he's not only fulfilling the yogi's desires, but fulfilling all of our desires, everyone's desires. Is
Because
that
he's
okay?
situated in our hearts. That's why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
And in that purport, Prabhupada writes, just like, when we are walking by a fragrant flower, just because we are near the fragrant flower, we can immediately the fragrance enters our nose. So because the Paramatma is sitting so close to us in our heart, the Paramatma knows our desire and he makes arrangements to fulfill it.
mhm.
After all, this is the reason he's created this material world also, no? To fulfill our desire to enjoy this material world.
Yeah.
So we can see that how he's arranging everything to fulfill our desire. Like a kind father is, wants to fulfill the desires of his children. Is that okay?
Yes.
As the super soul, the Lord enters the hearts of all living entities, as stated in Brahma Samhita 5:35. Andantarastha paramanu chayantrastham. He enters the universe and the atom as well. So the Paramatma is in our hearts And he's also inside every atom of the universe. That's how the atom can keep its shape. Otherwise, the atom wouldn't be able to even have its own shape. In the Rig Veda, the predominating deity of the sun is worshipped by this mantra. Dhyeya sada savitar mandala madhyavarti narayana saraj sija asana sanivishta. Narayan sits on his lotus flower within the sun. By reciting this mantra, every living entity should take shelter of Narayan just as the sun rises. According to modern scientists, the material world rests on the sun's effulgence. Due to the sunshine, all planets are rotating and vegetables are growing. We also have information that the moonshine helps vegetables and herbs grow. Actually, Narayan within the sun is maintaining the entire universe. Therefore, Narayan should be worshipped by the Gayatri mantra or the Rig mantra. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 5th canto, 7th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled The Activities of King Bharat. So, Lord Narayan, he's maintaining the entire universe here. Srila Prabhupada is saying even the scientists say that the sun is sustaining all life in the universe. So it's Narayan who's within the sun who is maintaining. So a description of the character of Bharat Maharaj in chapter 8. Although Bharat Maharaj was very elevated, he fell down due to his attachment to a young deer. One day, after Bharat Maharaj had taken his bath as usual in the river Gandaki and was chanting his mantra, he saw a pregnant deer come to the river to drink water. Suddenly, there could be heard the thundering roar of a lion, and the deer was so frightened that it immediately gave birth to its calf. It then crossed the river, but died immediately thereafter. Maharaj Bharat took compassion upon the motherless calf, rescued it from the water, took it to his ashram, and cared for it affectionately. He gradually became attached to this young deer and always thought of it affectionately. As it grew up, it became Maharaj Bharat's constant companion, and he always took care of it. Gradually, he became so absorbed in thinking of this deer that his mind became agitated. As he became more attached to the deer, his devotional service slackened. Although he was able to give up his opulent kingdom, he became attached to the deer. Thus, he fell down from his mystic yoga practice. Once, when the deer was absent, Maharaj Bharat was so disturbed that he began to search for it. While searching and lamenting the deer's absence, Maharaj Bharat fell down and died. Because his mind was fully absorbed in thinking of the deer, he naturally took his next birth from the womb of a deer. However, because he was considerably advanced spiritually, he did not forget his past activities, even though he was in the body of a deer. He could understand how he had fallen down from his exalted position, and remembering this, he left his mother deer and again went to Pula Ashram. He finally ended his fruitive activities in the form of a deer, and when he died, he was released from the deer's body. So Bharat Maharaj, he was on the platform of bhava, that his body was having this ecstatic symptoms for Krishna. So that is bhava, just before prema, very high position. There's already love is there. The love is beginning to be there in the heart. And yet from that position, he gave up his devotional service and got attached to the deer. Shishuka Vachan.
Shri Shuka Uvacha
Ekada to Mahanadayam Kritabhisheka ne Yamika Shayako.
एकदा तु महानाद्यां कृत अभिषेक नैमिके अक्षयक
Brahmaksharam abhigranano muhurtatrayam udakanta upavivesha.
ब्रह्म अक्षरम्
Brahmasharam
अभिगृह्णानां
Abhigranano Murta
स्वयं
Trayam
अन्ते
Udakanta
उपविवेश
Upavivesha.
Sri Sukadev Goswami continued, My dear king, one day, after finishing his morning duties, evacuating, urinating, and bathing, Maharaj Bharata sat down on the bank of the river Gandaki for a few minutes and began chanting his mantra, beginning with Omkar. So he was doing his daily activities. Tatra tada rajan harini pipasaya jala shayabhyasham eke vopajagamanam.
तत्र
Tatra
तथा
Tata Rajan
हरिं
Harini
पिबासया
Pipashaya
जलाशय
Jalashaya
अभयाशम् एक एव
Abhyasamik.
उपजगाम
Okay, while Bharat Maharaj was sitting on the bank of that river, a doe, being very thirsty, came there to drink. Taya pepiyamana udake tavat eva vidurena nadato mrikapater.
तया पेप्यमाने उदके तावदेव अविदूरेण नदतः मृगपते
Unado loka bhayankar udpatat.
उत्तरादलोकभयं कर उत्पतत्
While the doe was drinking with great satisfaction, a lion, which was very close, roared very loudly. This was frightful to every living entity, and it was heard by the doe. Tam तं उपश्रुत्य सा मृगवधूः प्रकृतिविक्लवा चकितनिरीक्षणा
तम् उपश्रुत्य सा मृगवधू प्रकृतिविकल्वा चकितनिरीक्षणा
सुतराम् अपि हरिभयाभिवनेश व्यग्रहृदया पारिप्लवदृष्टिर्
सुतराम् अपि हरिभय अभिनिवेशः व्यग्रहृदया परिपल्लवः दृष्टि
अगता तृषा भयात् सहसैव चक्राम.
अगततृषा भयात् सहसा एव उच्चक्राम
By nature, the doe was always afraid of being killed by others, and it was always looking about suspiciously. When it heard the lion's tumultuous roar, it became very agitated. Looking here and there with disturbed eyes, the doe, although it had not fully satisfied itself by drinking water, suddenly leaped across the river. Tasya utpantaya antaravantya urubhayavagalito yoni nirgato.
तस्य उत्पत्तन्तया अन्तवर्या उरुभय अवगलितः योनिर्गतो
Garbha srotasi nipapata.
गर्भस्य स्रोतसि निपपात
The doe was pregnant, and when it jumped out of fear, the baby deer fell from its womb into the flowing waters of the river. There's every chance of a woman's having a miscarriage if she experiences some ecstatic emotion or is frightened. Pregnant women should therefore be spared all these external influences. She's so scared that in her fear, the baby's just coming out. That's why they say, right? That when a woman is pregnant, not to give them too much stress. So tat prasavo sarpana bhayakhe daturasva ganena vyujyamana.
तत्प्रसव उत्सर्पणः भयखेद आतुरा स्वगणेन वियुज्यमाना
Kasyanchidaryam Krishna sarasati nipapa tatha cha mamara.
कस्याञ्चिद्दर्यां कृष्णसारसती निपपात अथ च ममारः.
Being separated from its flock and distressed by its miscarriage, the black doe, having crossed the river, was very much distressed. Indeed, it fell down in a cave and died immediately. So she's so sad that she just dies. Tam tva ena kunnakam kripanam srotasyanuhiyamanam.
तं तु एण कुणकमः कृपणं स्तोत्रसा अनुहमानम्.
Abhivikshyapavitham bandhur ivanukampaya rajarishir
अविभीक्ष्य उपविदं बन्धु इव अनुकम्पया राजऋषि भरतः.
Adayamritamataram iti ashram padam anaya.
अदायामृतमातरम् इति आश्रम पदम् अनरयत्.
The great King Bharat, while sitting on the bank of the river, saw the small deer bereft of its mother floating down the river. Seeing this, he felt great compassion. Like a sincere friend, he lifted the infant deer from the waves and, knowing it to be motherless, brought it to his ashram. The laws of nature work in subtle ways unknown to us. Maharaj Bharat was a great king, very advanced in devotional service. He had almost reached the point of loving service to the Supreme Lord. But even from that platform, he could fall down onto the material platform. In Bhagavad Gita, we are therefore warned. Yam hina vyathanti ete purusham purusharshava sammadukha sukham dhiram somrittatvaya kalpate. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Bhagavad Gita 2.15. Spiritual salvation and liberation from material bondage must be worked out with great caution. Otherwise, a little discrepancy will cause one to fall down again into material existence. By studying the activities of Maharaj Bharat, we can learn the art of becoming completely freed from all material attachment. As it will be revealed in later verses, Bharat Maharaj had to accept the body of a deer due to being overly compassionate for this infant deer. We should be compassionate by raising one from the material platform to the spiritual platform. Otherwise, at any moment, our spiritual advancement may be spoiled and we may fall down onto the material platform. Maharaj Bharat's compassion for the deer was the beginning of his fall down into the material world. Because Maharaj Bharat was already liberated. He was on the Bhava platform just before Prema. So it's a very, very high platform. He was having these emotions for Krishna, ecstatic symptoms. And yet, then he got compassionate, misplaced compassion, and fall down into the material world. We should be compassionate by raising one from the material platform to the spiritual platform. Otherwise, at any moment, our spiritual advancement may be spoiled and we may fall down into the material platform. So Srila Prabhupada is saying we should always be concerned the compassion we should have, but how to use it, bring others also to the spiritual platform instead of us. Well, we are already on the, but anyway, he's saying try to bring others also up spiritually. He became overly compassionate. So compassion is good. It's good, compassion. He saved the deer, very good. But he became too compassionate, over attached. Yeah. Any comments, questions?
Just one question. So is it that he thought that he was responsible, like that without him what the deer will do? So the
Yeah.
compassion is wrong. Like he could have, is it like that way? Because You
Yes.
said you yourself said that compassion is good, but in a right way.
Yes. Yes, he did good. He saved the deer, but he became too compassionate. As you rightly said, he felt that he was responsible for the deer.
Hmm.
Yeah. Then he forgot about Krishna, forgetting that, okay, yeah, Krishna is taking care of everyone. So he forgot
Yeah.
Krishna and got too attached to the deer.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Tasya hava ena konaka ucher etasmin krita nijabhimanasya
तस्य हवा एण कुनके उच्च एतस्मिन् कृतनिज अभिमानस्य
ahastat poshana palana lalana prinanudhya nenatma niyamaha
अहस्तस्य पोषण पालन लालन ध्यानेन आत्मनियमः
saha yama purusha paricharyataya ekaikasha katipaye nahar
सह यमा पुरुष परिचर्या आदय एक एकशः कतिपयेन गणेन
ganena vyujyamana kila sarva evodavasan
गणेन युज्यमानः किल सर्वे एव उद्वसन्.
Gradually, Maharaj Bharat became very affectionate toward the deer. He began to raise it and maintain it by giving it grass. He was always careful to protect it from the attacks of tigers and other animals. When it itched, he petted it, and in this way, he always tried to keep it in a comfortable condition. He sometimes kissed it out of love. Being attached to raising the deer, Maharaj Bharat forgot the rules and regulations for the advancement of spiritual life, and he gradually forgot to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After a few days, he forgot everything about his spiritual advancement. From this, we can understand how we have to be very cautious in executing our spiritual duties by observing the rules and regulations and regularly chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. If we neglect doing this, we will eventually fall down. We must rise early in the morning, bathe, attend Mangal Aarti, worship the deities, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, study the Vedic literatures, and follow all the rules prescribed by the acharyas and the spiritual master. If we deviate from this process, we may fall down, even though we may be very highly advanced. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that Bharat Maharaj, he fell down because he stopped his devotional service. And because he stopped, then he came back to the material platform again. He was on the spiritual platform, he was liberated. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. Continue to regularly chant Hare Krishna mantra, observe rules and regulations, rise early in the morning, bathe, attend Mangalarti, worship the deities, chant Hare Krishna mantra, study Vedic literatures, and follow all rules prescribed by the acharyas and the spiritual master. Okay. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 18.5, Yajna dana tapa karma na tyajyam karyam eva tat yajna danam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up, but should be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great soul. Even if one is in the renounced order, he should never give up the regulative principles. He should worship the deity and give his time and life to the service of Krishna. He should also continue following the rules and regulations of austerity and penance. These things cannot be given up. One should not think oneself very advanced simply because one has accepted the sannyas order. The activities of Bharat Maharaj should be carefully studied for one's spiritual advancement. So Bharat Maharaj he's being an example for us to be cautious. And Prabhupada is saying that one should continue to follow the regulative principles, following the regulations, rules and regulations. One should not think of oneself very advanced simply because one has accepted the sannyas order. After some time, and we may think, oh, I'm so advanced. But one needs to follow all the rules and regulations. One may think, oh, I don't need to follow the rules and regulations. But Prabhupada is saying, no matter how advanced you are, you have to continue the rules and regulations of devotional service. Worship the deity, hearing, chanting, following the four regulative principles, studying the scriptures, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. I think we'll stop here. We'll start another one. Yeah, let's stop here. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you all want to add anything?
Listening to the previous, I just had one question. I'm sorry to bring it up now, but I just had one question about Rishabh Dev. That as you remember, we read that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when everybody was committing and saying him things, then he said that I have to take sannyas. Otherwise, how can I deliver souls? I've come here to deliver souls. So even Rishabh Dev was Krishna himself, like he was avatar. So like people, when he was roaming around, people threw things at him and they did what was not supposed to be done to any jeev. So wasn't that like those people um got more fallen or something? So then how do we understand that?
Yeah, probably, because as you rightly said, that's not the way to behave with anyone. And here he is an incarnation of the Lord. He was not taking offense on himself. He was just going about like a avadut.
Hmm.
But you mean what sort of reactions the other people got? Well,
No, like what I mean is that because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he himself worked on it, that, that I should take sannyas so that I could deliver people. So then why not Rishabh Dev?
because
Because he
the
knew.
mission was different. But you
Okay.
see, Lord Chaitanya, he came specifically. Well, Rishabh Dev, he already gave the instructions. Now he's retired.
Oh,
You see,
okay.
Lord Rishabh Dev, he gave the instructions to his sons. And
Hmm.
then he's like, okay, now I'm going away. I'm just gonna
Okay.
be my thing. But Lord
Okay.
Chaitanya, that time he had to start the mission. He had to give the holy name still to everyone.
Okay. Okay. So that means that the purpose for what he came was already done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he gave these very, very valuable instructions, and those instructions are for each of us to follow.
Hmm.
But he gave the instructions to his sons,
Yes,
right?
he gave the instructions to his sons. But see, like how
Like he
Krishna
used
gave
to not
instructions
preach
to
to
Arjun.
others. He was not
Huh?
doing like how Lord Chaitanya was doing that,
That's right.
right?
Hmm.
That's right. Yeah, because the incarnation of the Lord, he comes for a specific purpose,
Yeah.
for specific. So Rishabh Dev, but of course, see, these instructions are there in Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are
Yeah.
studying these same instructions today. And we need to apply these instructions in our life. So, although he just gave it for his sons, it's not meant only for his sons, it's meant for each and every one of us.
Yes.
Hmm.
And also from the story of Maharaj Bharat, like, I mean, it just comes in my mind that, see, when people do have pets and all, see how attached you do tend to get.
Yeah, it's
So
true.
I don't think it's a good thing to, people have pets at home. Because I mean, I've seen so many, like the Chinese and all, when they're so attached to their dogs
Yeah,
or whatever, right? You do get
it's
so
true,
attached.
what you say, but nowadays you can't even tell people anything
You can't
because they're
tell, yeah,
so attached. Nobody's willing to hear anything.
no.
So, but yeah, we are
Oh,
hearing from Bharat Maharaj, and already we have so many attachments. Do you think we have less
attachment. So this is an
attachments?
extra, yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
Do you think we have less? We are already very, very attached. But
Yes.
nowadays we can't say anything to anyone also because, you know, people take it personally then. But it's true,
So
no?
sad.
It's true.
But so sad that they will become that. They don't know that. And if they would have studied, so that is the point comes that if they had studied, then they would be really careful that how much care to a jiva is to be given, how much compassion is to be shown. They can't
Yeah,
overdo things. And then they don't know that they will become the same Pomerian or the same Alsatian in the next life. They might.
if yeah, if that to that degree, if that because here Bharat Maharaj is thinking of the deer when he's dying. So
Yeah.
Krishna
Hmm.
says, what you think of. So yeah, if the attachment is to that degree, then that may happen. And then, as
Hmm.
I'm saying, we already have so many attachments. We don't even know what we are hanging on to.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we are
We
adding on.
don't even know what's inside.
Yes.
I'm sorry,
Oh, so we are adding on more
adding
attachment to
on.
us. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a big
But,
this thing,
but
Achan, because
someone
I've
may
seen
be,
Priyanka's fiance. He has a dog, very nice
yeah,
dog, white and all. So attached. And now that Priyanka also, right, meets him. Now she's become attached. I say, oh my
of
God, what's
course.
going? Yeah. So you become
Yeah,
so attached, like
it's
by having
true.
a pet, a dog, but then see,
Yeah,
where your attachment goes to.
it's true.
No,
It's true.
actually, it's like your
But what
baby
we can
also.
do,
No?
The baby,
babe,
yeah. He says, no, he
Because you
says,
think
yeah,
that you are the one
it's my
responsible.
baby.
You have to
Yeah,
feed, you have to do
feed
everything. So
and
that is
yeah,
the feeling there. Sorry, you
then
were
you know
saying
what
something,
we can,
yeah.
sorry,
Shani.
yeah.
No, that's fine.
Sorry, I was just saying that maybe, then we can tell them, that the best way, yeah, you do whatever you want to take care of the dog, but the best way you can actually help the dog in its journey and its onward journey is chant to the dog, you know?
Right.
At,
Hmm.
at least chant to the dog. Okay, fine. Okay, already have a pet. Okay, what to do? All right, take care of it. But also chant to the dog then. At least
True.
help help him in that way or her in that way.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at least that's what I can say.
I
I don't
understand.
know.
True.
Yeah. So, anyways, thank you all so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad
Yeah.
Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Bhakti